hello, you incredible friends. This is your pal Edwards here speaking, and my tech friend Ron Klink from New York. How you doing today, Ron Klink? What's going on?
Good morning to you, Ed. Doing great here, my friend. How about you, Ed?
Oh, it's so good to be here. Now, I have to say this. Is this your? It looks like I just realised. It looks like we're in the same room. Like we're what? We're 11,000 miles away, but it looks like we're in the same room, doesn't it?
Exactly. I know.
Identical room. And look, I was just going to say as well, and I understand this is your first live stream. Is that correct? Because I'm very honored to be with you on your first live stream, if that's correct.
That is correct, Ed. You are absolutely 100% correct on that. And I'm honored to be with you on this LinkedIn live stream here with you. So thank you very much for having me.
Oh, pleasure. And just checking with our fans, I've got the live stream right here. If you just come in, like, share, comment, please connect with our friend Ron. He's a tech Microsoft guy from New York that we love. And make sure you smash that like, share, comment. Now, Ron, so good to have you with us. I know, look, you're an amazing tech guy. Tell us a bit about your story. Who are you? How did you get here? How did you wind up in technology like I did? What happened to you? I'm sorry you wound up in technology like I did.
Well, thank you very much, Ed. Sure, I'll give you a good history about how I wound up in technology and how much I loved the technology world so much. Yeah, it's going back when I was in high school, and one of my high school teachers got me involved. He says, Ronald, you ever heard of a word processing program? I'm saying, no, I never heard of it. It says you could do grammar check, you could do typing for reports and everything else. You could correct your own mistakes. I'm like, wow, it's simple. So yeah, I got immediately he introduced me to this program. Used to be called Word Perfect.
Word Perfect. Yes, I was going to say Word Perfect. Was that made by Lotus, or am I wrong? Was that Lotus, or am I totally mixed up?
Probably so. It's been so long, Ed, but eventually it was Word Perfect was bought by Corel Draw as well. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's how I first started typing up book reports and everything else. I could always spell check it and I'd look over and everything. It was like, wow, it's such great, amazing technology at that time. And but yeah, and then after I graduated high school, actually, before I even graduated high school, I was in my senior year. I went to go work in the financial district of NYC here, and I was doing. While I was in high school, I was doing 1 week work, 1 week school. So I was going back and forth each time, and I gained even more knowledge in this technology, Ed. And where we had. This is during mainframe days, and when IBM was the superior big footstep.
Just on that, I remember the day. So now we call it PC, right? You say Apple or PC. I remember how they used to be called IBM. Remember how you call a PC, you call it an IBM. You remember those days?
Oh, I grew up in that era. And, IBM was a big footprint and person and company for mainframes for large companies such as insurance company, which is where I worked. And I had my first job in the financial district here in NYC, which I was with the company for over 10 years. I grew up in that environment, and it was amazing. The technology then was fast. It was the latest technology that you can do. And after that, I went from the mainframe. I went to what they call the actual data center, the actual guts for what makes the entire company run. So all the servers, the cabling, all the physical to the software ends of this, I started to learn, troubleshoot, even implement them into the company's environment. Back then, we had IBM was good. We had there was HP. We had NEC at the time as well, which still
NEC,
around.
I've not heard those three letters NEC in a long time. NEC were massive back in the days. What happened to NEC? Are they still around, or they just die or get bought out or something?
Each, just like any type of company, they'll go away for a little bit until they come up with a new product or service, and they'll revamp themselves, and then they'll come back stronger than ever. So yeah, definitely, NEC is still around. It was always a great product, both from a computer hardware standpoint to even TVs. They're still used, which they've always been a great product. But everyone has their own personal preference. Whether it be HP now, Dell, whatever it may be, their favorite thing.
Now, I have to say this. I'm 46, right? So I'm 46 years old. I remember having a 286 and playing Leisure Suit Larry, Space Quest, and King's Quest. And do you remember Sierra Gaming Studios? You got to remember Sierra Gaming Studios.
Exactly. I remember when we had the numbers, like you said, 286, then was coming from 386 to 486 computers, and then the computers were like almost like bookends that on a shelf.
Yeah.
They were that big. But now, I've been in the industry for over 30 years, Ed, and that's a long time. I've seen a lot of things change, going from large computers to compact computers, small form factor computers now. Exactly. Even the cell phone here too, my friend. So
there
definitely. Yep.
So it's funny you say that, actually, because these days, and we'll talk security in a moment.
Sure.
So I'm a massive gamer. Even to this day, I still play. I'm a massive gamer even today, right? I was busy last night playing Starship Troopers Terran Command on Microsoft PC Steam. It's funny. I find computers are amazing these days. The thing I find amazing is this phone I have is more powerful than a PC desktop 5 years ago. This phone. Isn't it amazing? So this phone is more powerful than a 5-year-old desktop PC. Isn't that scary, this little phone?
Exactly. Phones now are, like you were holding up the Samsung phone, is thin now. Now, compared when they first came out, they were almost like a size of a brick.
Yeah, there you go.
So, and definitely.
Now, I was going to ask you, so today I want to really focus on security and technology, right? So again, we're both tech people for different reasons from the old days.
Correct.
Security is a huge problem these days. Now, where I'm coming into sort of present day, every month I talk to one of our members that have been hacked somehow, be it they get their Facebook hacked, they get their phone hacked, they do something stupid, they follow a phishing email, and they break their banking. So I probably talk to at least a person a week now, I'm thinking about it, that gets hacked somehow, be it, they get phished and they fall for that one, or they get hacked. Tell us, our first question is, why is hacking so big these days? Like, obviously hackers are making money out of it. Why is hacking such a global epidemic these days?
Great question, Ed. And a lot of this goes into companies. From what I've seen, and everyone has their own opinion in the technology area, but from what I've seen, from what I've been listening and reading from, companies are, depending on the size and what resources they have available at their for both for internal and external staffing source. Companies don't do a lot of preventive maintenance. They think some companies think they're invulnerable to attacks, like you said, phishing emails, ransomware attacks, that come through their company's firewall. They're not doing the preventive maintenance like they should. Okay, if they do, they're doing to the minimal where they think they're safe enough and they're never going to get hacked. I like to use the perfect analogy of a car. Okay, you want think of it like this, Ed. Simple. You change the oil. You keep gas in the gas tank. Nowadays, if you're hybrid, you have half gas, half electric, or if you charge it, keeping that battery charged, right?
Yeah.
Make sure your tires are fully inflated and they're real good. You don't want to wind up on the side of a road of a major highway or in somewhere where there's nobody around, and you end up waiting hours for a tow truck or someone to come help you and take you to a nearest mechanic shop to get it repaired, or a car dealership, whatever it may be. Doing these simple preventive maintenances is easy to do and low cost on money, especially in the for businesses that thrive in this area. Other things where I see businesses getting attacked is that they don't have the right defenses up for the first line of defense from both from a company firewall standpoint, for internally making sure that employees are not going out to the internet where they should not be. There has to be a lot of what they call internal lockdown procedures on their desktop PCs or on their Apple Macs, whatever it may be. on the back end. So this way they're prevented to not going to, like I say, a Facebook or an X or a Twitter, wherever it might be, that it has no responsibility in their job description. If you're working in if you're working in finance, you're doing payroll. Okay, you have to get to a major bank that you're doing payroll with. That's a different story. Okay, but also it starts all within the company, making sure that there's lockdown, that nobody comes in from the outside. So say you have a salesperson coming, you're going to do a PowerPoint presentation. They have a laptop or a smart device. They need to get on the company's internal Wi-Fi network. Okay, you have to go through a prerequisite of IT security measures in order to get on that company's network. Now, that's where a lot of companies don't have these types of restrictions in place. And you'll go, our password username is this, our password name is this. They get on, and you don't know what they have on their smart device, their laptop, whatever it may be they're using to do work or presentation. They can have a virus in there on their computer system, even in the email. If they don't have the document, they go into the emails and to retrieve it. So this is just some of the simple stuff I was just mentioning about car maintenance. You do these simple things, the company will thrive. You'll have less downtime, okay, and you'll build business resiliency on this as well.
Yeah, incredible. It's funny, actually. I was thinking about it, putting on my gaming hat here, right? As a guy who's didn't have much of a childhood, who's catching up for his childhood later in life, right? That's the sort of guy I am. Interestingly, I remember, I'll probably get in trouble for saying this. I'm pretty sure it was Sony from memory. I think it was Sony PlayStation. Apparently, they got hacked at one point. Correct me if I'm wrong if it's not Sony. And I remember it was something like the password was like admin123. And apparently, all the actual customer data and credit cards was like an Excel spreadsheet. It was something like that, right? And I've heard of a few in Australia too, where these top companies, people type in admin, go into the system, they download customer data in basically open Excel spreadsheets with name, credit card, and address. Then they get leaked to the internet. And then the companies are all Pikachu face. How did that happen? How do such big companies do that? Like our banks have been hacked. One of our big medical providers got hacked. Tell us all about that. Why do such big companies act in such idiotic ways?
Well, you're right, Ed. On the first company that ever got hacked was Sony Productions.
I am right. I'm not going to get sued by Sony, right? I am correct there.
No, but it was the first major company to get hacked, and then the trickle down effect just kept going. You had companies like Yahoo. You had companies, all these big tech companies or retail, whatever it may be. They also again hacked one by one. Okay. Now, the reasons why companies got hacked, okay, again, not doing the preventive maintenance, not doing the routine maintenance that they're supposed to be doing. Again, they may think that they're invulnerable from getting attacks because they're a large corporation, or they just do the minimal just to get by. Now, again, this is just my opinion. Other people have different opinions on what I have to say, but that's fine. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but this is from what my experience can see.
Just on that, just so I probably should have done this before jumping live, but I just did a Google search then. So according to Wikipedia, it was 2014. It was Sony Pictures that got hacked.
Correct.
It was a group called Guardians of the Peace, and apparently it was personal information between Sony Pictures employees and their families, emails, information about executive salaries, and also to scripts for films and others. And I remember, I think later on there was a PlayStation hack, which got in their credit card data. So imagine, I can only imagine they probably just, it's not their realm of consciousness. They probably think, we're Sony, we're awesome, we're impenetrable. I reckon it would just be that, I won't say arrogance, but they probably just think they're too big to fail. What do you think of that type of viewpoint?
Well, it goes back again to that type of environment. It's you have to have the right team in place. You have to have a good collaboration of IT people to do what they're supposed to do and what they're responsible for. Okay. Now, if someone didn't do their job of what they're supposed to do for IT security for the company's computer network system, then that's when unauthorized hackers or phishing or ransomware gets into a company and then wreaks havoc, and it
Yeah.
causes a lot more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah. And I read this interesting article as well. This is across US, and I know the stats are very similar for US and Australia, right? From that point of view, I
Right.
think this was in a US article, but would translate well to Australia, where it said if you're a small, they actually had the stat, a lot of small, medium businesses, the ones who get significantly hacked often go out of business within a year. So what would happen is that if you're a small or medium business, the hack can cost you so much money and difficulty, it often puts you out of business. And I thought that was fascinating. It makes sense. If you're a restaurant, for example, and you get hacked and you can't bill for a few days, that can throw you under. So this is scary. Like getting hacked can actually send you out of business. What do you think on that one, Ron?
Yes, I agree 100% with you. What you just said. In restaurant industry is a tough industry to work in.
Yeah. Low margin, long hours.
It's also a thriving business as well.
Yeah.
It goes into the falls into the hospitality area industry. So
Yeah.
it is a thriving and lots lucrative money industry. I used to work in that in a restaurant business myself, so I know how. Yes, yes.
But so being in New York, and so was it New York and pizza? Was it Italian? What kind of restaurant? I'm just generalizing here and putting stereotypes on you. What kind of restaurant was it?
Oh, it was just a general American restaurant. Steaks, hamburgers, poultry, fish. Just a general franchise type of restaurant it was. But big kitchen. Lots of chefs, line cooks, and all other work servers that did and that do their for their customers. You had the bar and everything else. TVs all over the place.
Wow. So imagine if that place got hacked, you only need to be down for a few days to send your business under financially.
That's true, Ed. But in any type of industry, whether it be from the restaurant to, let's say, legal, insurance, financial, even bigger, you cannot be down for too long because companies losing money. Okay, there's no money coming in.
Yeah.
That's why a large company or a small company within these industries, even healthcare, they can't be down for too long.
Yeah, crazy. It's interesting, actually. One thing that I've seen a lot of lately, talking more on a local level, and these are people I talk to every month. Like these people having trouble with their Facebook accounts, their Instagram accounts, their LinkedIn accounts. They don't use double authentication. So one of my really good friends, we got it back, thank God. She lost her Facebook account, right? Got it back, which is so good ending to a dark story. She didn't, and not her fault. She's not a tech lady. She did not have double authentication. So to me, so my take is from a local business point of view, the first thing you should have is double authentication on everything, because I imagine with double authentication, you would be so much harder to hack. What's your take on double authentication and that type of thing?
Great. Thank you very much for asking me that, Ed. So when you say double authentication, that stands for 2FA. So two-factor authentication is what that means here in the tech world where I'm in. Okay. Like you said, for LinkedIn, for Facebook, any social media platform should have 2FA, two-factor authentication, making it harder for hackers, either a group or individual, to get into your personal or business account for that. Now, in that same thing, Ed, there's also called MFA, multi-factor authentication as well. So that's another thing that needs to be enabled, just like the 2FA. So like that as well. So definitely even on, if you're shopping on Amazon, eBay, those type sites and e-commerce sites, similar, two-factor authentication needs to be enabled for that. It'll minimize the you getting hacked potentially. You cannot guarantee that you won't. Okay, but it minimizes the effect of you getting hacked.
Yeah. So I find it amazing. It's because I know so many people with big social, me included, right?
Yes.
I know so many people who've got massive social media followings that their business is dependent on.
Yes.
And they don't have multiple factor authentication. And when I find out, I tell them that they're nuts, and you set it up right away. And the other thing I find fascinating as well about the whole thing is that, it's so easy to set up. So I just say to anyone, as a non-tech guy, I just say to anyone watching on your LinkedIn, Facebook, and Insta, you're absolutely nuts not to have multi-factor authentication. Obviously, you agree with that, Ron. The common pushback, people say, oh, it's too hard to log in. It's too hard to log in. But my response is, what if you lose your account? Then you lose your whole business. So I think it's worth it.
Well, right. Even with Amazon being one of the largest e-commerce sites globally as well, you have two-factor authentication where, okay, you log in with your username, then your password, then it comes up, then the two-factor authentication security comes on. It's an extra step. Yes, it'll take you longer to get in for that, but it's the time that it takes is not that long, a few seconds. So you have to have patience, okay, in this thing. Will you rather be calling up your credit cards companies or your debit card companies saying, look, I just got hacked, I need to close my account, freeze my account, calling up your bank? This could be 1 o'clock in the morning or late at night after you're eating dinner, whatever. It could happen.
Yeah, it's funny actually. It's I think it's just nuts how it goes. And I'd say to anyone watching, make sure you have your multi-factor authentication set up. I've seen a lot of good people get taken out by it, and it shouldn't happen. It was interesting. I was just going to mention on our Facebook account, at least once a fortnight, someone's trying to reset the password on my Facebook account. So I'll always wake up, and it'll always be, did you try and reset your password on your Facebook account? So at least once a fortnight, someone's trying to reset my Facebook password.
Right. Well, Ed, glad that you brought that up about the password being people trying to reset it. This what also goes into the business world as well, where when I was an employee at a company in the financial district of NYC, we used to have end users reset their passwords every 30 days. This way, it's constantly changing. Okay, again, another way to prevent hackers from getting into your computer PCs or Macs. Yes, it's a pain in the neck. People used to have to take little Post-its, write down what their password was, keep it on the desk or whatever. But this is part of the security measures that needs to be in place.
You have to. Now, another thing is you're talking about Macs as well, right? Now, again, I'm a LinkedIn certified consultant. I'm team Microsoft all the way. I'm quite anti-Apple, not so much anymore, but for a while there, I was so anti-Apple. I'm like, basically, me, Windows good, you, Apple evil, right? I used to be in that club. Now Apple's not that big, so I don't care anymore, right? But a lot of people run around saying, you don't hear this much anymore, but I'm sort of straw manning a bit here, but a lot of people back in the day would say, PC suck, Apple doesn't get hacked, Apple's better. What's your take on that issue? I can tell by your sneering laugh that you obviously agree with me. Tell me about that issue. Oh, PC sucks, Apple's better. Tell me about that. What do you think?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Ed. I've heard the same story as you just mentioned before. People say, oh, Mac's so much better than Microsoft Windows. It's not true. Look, both are great platforms to work on. Okay, like I said, there's always going to be, whether it be you're a Mac person, you favor Mac, or you're a Microsoft Windows person. It doesn't matter what you have, what you favor. Someone's always going to say this product is better than that product. As I just said, Ed, someone will always get hacked some way or another. Whether it be product A or product B. Eventually, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. But if you do the proper preventive measures that you're supposed to do, like the two-factor authentication and the MFA, it'll minimize the effect and lessen for you to get hacked.
Oh, Ron, love it. Now, Ron, we've been on for 25 minutes. Thank you so much. Thanks to our fans watching. Please like, share, and comment, and connect with Ron over in New York. Great guy. Ron, we should start wrapping up now.
Sure.
Love to hear. Please give us some closing thoughts. If there's anything you'd love to say, we'd love to hear it. Give us some closing thoughts and tell us a bit about how you help people and the kind of work that you do these days in your business.
Sure. Thank you very much, Ed. I would love to say that. But so in the time that we have left, for me, what I do now, I help businesses prevent from a natural disaster event. Perfect example: cyber attacks, ransomware, phishing attacks, like we were first speaking about, Ed. I help prepare companies from getting hacked. Can't prevent it from it not happening, but I can minimize the downtime. Like I said, if you're a financial institution, you're a legal firm, insurance, hospital, whatever it is, that you cannot be down for so long, right? I help minimize that time and build business resiliency and uptime. So if you're down for a certain time, I'll help you get back up within either a matter of hours or a day, depending on the size of the company, the complexity of the computer network system. So I help prevent that from happening. So I go into a company and do it like an assessment. All right, what are your pain pinpoints? You will have a backup and recovery system in place in case you get a ransomware attack happens. Some people say no, or we have a system, we have a preventive disaster recovery system in place, but we don't do it too often. Okay, let me take a look at your procedures. And let me see if I can help streamline it better and make it more efficient.
Very nice. You're an amazing man. And based in New York, serving clients across the United States and the world.
That is correct.
Love your work. So, friends, connect with Ron. Ron's a great friend of ours. And Ron, thank you so much for your time, my friend. It's so it must be 8:36 p.m. Wednesday, New York time. Is that correct?
The Wednesday night, actually 8:26 p.m.
Oh, sorry, half asleep. There you go, half asleep. There we go. So you're going to have to go to Times Square after this and do some selfies. New York's a beautiful city.
Definitely is one of the greatest city in the world, Ed.
There you go. And just on that, I do show off about this. Pre-COVID, I was very lucky to get flown out to New York as part of the Meetup conference. And while I was there, I ran Central Park, New York. It felt great.
Excellent. Central Park is one of the most beautiful parks here in NYC.
Yeah, I was really slow. It took me an hour and 5 minutes, but I ran. The only reason why I ran it was just to say, so the rest of my life I can say I've run Central Park, New York. So it was it was like running through a movie scene. Isn't it amazing?
It is. It's simply amazing. It is, just like you just said.
There you go. Friends, thank you so much. Please connect with Ron. He's a great friend of ours. Smash it, like, share, comment. Ron, thank you so much. Have a great evening in beautiful New York City. We appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you very much, Ed. Pleasure. Have a good morning, rest of your day there too, sir.
Love your work. I'll stay off.